Hey guys and gals, how you all doing out there? Today I'm making my first gun review for my YouTube page, so I figured let's start off with something that has a little bit of kick. Now, this is my Remington 870. Now, it's not a standard 870 like you'll normally see. I mean, sure, don't get me wrong, the receiver and everything, that's all standard. Furniture, for the most part, I believe is pretty standard. But this is the feature that really drew me to this gun. Yeah, the mag tube, the extended mag tube that's flush with the end of the barrel. So cool looking. It hits on, the nut and fancy term, both kinds of cool. First kind of cool is it functions, it offers you something, and it works. Second kind of cool, it just turns you on. I don't know what it is about these, but, I always saw something like this in the old, police movies, pulling this out of the back of their car, out of the trunk. And it's just cool to me. So I wanted to have a shotgun with this. Now, for many years, I was using a Stevens 320. I was, I believe, a copy of the Winchester 12 or 1100, something like that. And it was brought in by Savage from China. So it's just a copy. It had a pistol grip with a shoulder stock too. It was a surprisingly good little gun. I bought it used for $189, and that's usually what you can find them for. It did its job. It served as my home defense gun. I never had to use it, fortunately. I would take it to the range every once in a while just to function check it, make sure it still worked, have a little bit of fun with it. But that was all it did. But unfortunately, I looked into buying, because Savage the Stevens, they would also make longer barrels for it. They'd make like a 24-inch barrel so you can, go shoot clays with it, or, just general stuff, and get a choke set for it even. Well, if you buy the gun as configured with the 18.5-inch barrel, they don't allow you to buy the different barrels for it separately, just because, no, this is what you get. You got to buy a separate gun for that. Well, I'm not going to go out and buy a new Stevens 320 because I want to go bird hunting. I'll sell that off and I'll buy something new. Something that I could interchange. Now, what I really wanted to do, before I looked into the 870s, I wanted to go and buy a Mossberg 590, or even a 500. I think I was leaning towards the 590 just because they offered it with the flush mag tube. I wanted to go out and buy one, and then go out and buy a bird barrel, or whatever barrel, with the choke set, so I don't have to worry about it. I can, for the most part, cover everything. Problem is, the 590s, you can't go out and use a 500 barrel on them, unfortunately, just because of where the cap is, how it attaches on, and just how either long or short, and how far the barrel lug goes out to. So there's no interchangeability. So I was looking around. Okay, I can go out and buy a 500, and I can put an extended mag tube on it, and it's going to be aftermarket parts, and I don't really like that. I like to have something from the factory configured the way I like it, just because I find usually it's more reliable. So I started looking at the 870s, and this is what I found. Now, this is the 81197. This is that's the Remington catalog number. I will say, very nice gun. They also make the 25559. Now, that is a 4 capacity for the magazine tube. Now, this is a 6, so that means it's a 7-round gun of 2 3/4-inch shells. It's more than enough for home defense. Most of them, they're over with 1 or 2 rounds, and you don't have to do anything with it. But having the option of the 7 rounds, I just like it. I don't know, you never know when the end of the world is coming and you're going to need 7 rounds instead of 5. But the only difference now between this and a regular 870 is it's got this barrel band to stabilize the mag tube. And all you got to do is take that screw out, and it'll loosen up, and then you just unscrew your magazine tube, just like you would on your standard, and you can take the barrel off. You can switch it out for whatever you want, and that will allow you to do your multitasking functions. Very cool gun. I've owned this about 6 months, maybe, something like that. It's gave me a couple hiccups when I first got it. I've been noticing on forums, they're saying that the new 870s, you got to run at least about 100 rounds through them before they start really functioning right. So you know what, that's what I did, and now it functions perfectly. It functions like an old 870 that you know, has thousands and thousands of rounds through it. That, you know, it just works. That's what the 870s and the 500s are known for. Those are the reason they're so popular, is because they work. Now, for aftermarket parts, there's absolutely everything out there for these guns. Magpul makes forends and stocks, and you can buy different. I know you can buy different trigger assemblies. You can buy just name it. It's out there. That's what's so cool about these. They're so modular now that you can just do whatever you want with it. And that's the type of shotgun I wanted, just because I can't afford a whole bunch of guns. Now, a lot of you guys like AR-15s. Personally, I'm not that good with them. It's mainly just because I don't have the money to go out and spend on the ammunition to go buy it, or to go practice with it. So with shotguns, I mean, you can go train with some cheaper rounds. Make sure it functions your better ones, and make sure it has about the same power as the ones that you're using for tactical use or home defense or whatever you want to call it. Just so you understand how much it's going to kick. But you can go out and, I mean, a cheap box of shells at Walmart's like $5.50, something like that. So you can get a lot more training, I think, with a shotgun. It's not going to be the same rounds that you're using in combat, or like I said, home defense, tactical use, whatever you would like to call it. But that's honestly fine, as long as they function the same way. You make sure it chambers and spits out the good ones, just like it does the cheap ones. And it's an 870, so it's going to run just about everything. And also, it's not a semi-automatic, so you don't have to worry about it not functioning completely because there's not enough pressure. Just like any pump gun, you gotta, to cycle it, pump it, and that flings the thing out and you're good to go. No worrying about, oh, there's not enough gas pressure, let me adjust my gas, and no. There's just a simple beauty to this type of gun that I think escapes a lot of people. I'm not one of those. I was raised around the 870s as a kid. My first rabbit gun, that was an 870 youth model. But yeah, just very cool gun. Usually you can find them around $350 to $375 if you can find them. I found it really weird because I cannot find a review of this thing on YouTube, but I cannot find one of these in a shop near me. They had to order this one. It took about 3 weeks to get in. I went to 3 different shops, and they all gave me quotes of all the way up to 3 to 6 months to try and get one of these. So I'm trying to figure out, because either it's just very popular and no one's just done a video on it, or they're not very popular. But I gotta say, if you're looking for a home defense gun and you want that flush mag tube, this is the one I would go for, personally. Take my opinion with, take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But I gotta say, this is a great gun. The 870s have a great name. Or Remington has a great name. They just work. So what can you say? Alright guys, if you could please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions about the gun, because like I said, I have not seen very many videos, if any at all, on this particular gun. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm more than willing to help you out. Take care.